Did you know what were the top 10 battles that changed history? These are some of the most important battles of all time. For this list, we'll be looking at wartime military engagements that had significant impacts on human history. If these battles had ended differently, the world would be much different than today. Better or worse? You tell me? 10. Battle of Badr. The Battle of Badr, also known as the Day of the Criterion, was a pivotal moment for Islam's survival and expansion. In 622, fleeing persecution in Mecca, Muhammad's followers settled in Medina. 2 years later, Muhammad aimed to raid a Meccan caravan at Badr. Mecca sent an army led by Abu Jahl to rescue the caravan. Despite being outnumbered, the Muslims emerged victorious, boosting Muhammad's power and paving the way for Islam's growth. 9. Battle of Vienna. Fought through the summer of 1683, the Battle of Vienna marked an important turning point. The Ottomans had laid siege to Vienna for 2 months. Allied with the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, the Holy Roman Empire was able to defeat them and lift the siege. In the aftermath, European nations formed an alliance called the Holy League to prevent further Ottoman expansion into Europe, and in 1697, the Ottomans sued for peace. 8. Siege of Constantinople. Lasting a full year in the late 8th century, the Siege of Constantinople saw the Byzantine Empire defending its capital against the Umayyad Caliphate. The Muslim forces were eventually defeated, suffering heavy casualties in the process. This significantly demoralized the army, and they abandoned all hope of taking Constantinople. The result was a relatively stable division of territories that remained consistent for the next 2 centuries. In short, this battle effectively prevented Muslim expansion into Europe. 7. Siege of Orleans. Between the 14th and 15th centuries, England and France were embroiled in the 100 Years' War. A turning point came when the English laid siege to the city of Orleans in central France. On the 29th of April, 1429, Joan of Arc, a French peasant girl who claimed she was destined to rescue the country, arrived in Orleans. 9 days later, the siege was lifted. It effectively prevented the English from conquering France. The 100 Years' War came to an end shortly after, with France victorious and England abandoning their ambition to claim the French throne. 6. Battle of Tours. In the early 8th century, the Umayyad Caliphate conquered Hispania and set their sights on Gaul, pushing their way up through what's now southern and central France. Fought on the 10th of October 732, the Battle of Tours saw France's leader Charles Martel lead his army to victory against superior numbers. If it wasn't for his strategic prowess, the Umayyad Caliphate would have invaded deeper into Europe, and Islam would likely have become its dominant religion. Historians have credited Martel with preserving Christianity, although there's continued debate over the importance of the battle. 5. Battle of the Somme. The First World War included many famous battles, including the Battle of Verdun, but the Battle of Somme was the most impactful one. Lasting 140 days, it was one of the deadliest battles in history, leaving 1 million men wounded or killed. Despite the terrible cost, the battle saw the French and British front lines advance by just 6 miles. However, the bloody devastation had an enduring impact on how the war was perceived. 4. Battle of Waterloo. Coalition forces won many decisive victories during the Napoleonic Wars, including the Battle of Trafalgar. But nothing compares to the Battle of Waterloo. The Napoleonic Wars pitted Napoleon and his French Empire against several European states who united to defend their land. The war lasted 12 years and effectively ended with the Battle of Waterloo in modern-day Belgium. The coalition emerged victorious, and Napoleon abdicated the throne 4 days after his defeat. 3. Battle of Hastings. Invading England from Normandy in northwest France, William the Conqueror defeated King Harold II's forces at Hastings on England's south coast. Harold was killed in battle, and William was crowned king the following December, hence the sobriquet, the Conqueror. Norman rule of England saw the old aristocracy replaced, and Norman French became the language of administration, an influence still in the English language today. 2. Battle of Gaugamela. Having already penetrated deep into Persian territory, Alexander the Great's army of Macedon faced off a final time against the forces of King Darius. Despite being vastly outnumbered, Alexander's superior tactics resulted in a stunning victory. After this defeat, the Achaemenid Empire collapsed and fell under Greek control. Alexander's empire flourished and allowed the classical Greek period to spread its influence throughout much of the Mediterranean world and West and Central Asia. It was the most powerful empire of its time and effectively birthed Western civilization as we know it. 1. Battle of Stalingrad. The Allied invasion of Normandy on the 6th of June 1944 led to the liberation of France and victory on the Western Front. But it was the earlier Battle of Stalingrad in southern Russia that turned the tide of the war. After 5 grueling, bloody months of fighting with an estimated 2 million casualties, the German forces surrendered to the Soviet Union. This marked a devastating defeat for Nazi Germany and its allies. Hitler later blamed Stalingrad for his impending defeat, and historians tend to agree with him. We might not recognize a world where Stalingrad had fallen.